Daniel Farke has just finished his press conference about the Bristol City match, and he has had a hell of an answer for one of the biggest questions Leeds United have. And we've got a better idea of what the squad will look like. So stick around for everything from Daniel Farke's press conference, what Bristol City play like, and ultimately what it means for the match tomorrow and how we're going to do. First off, Daniel Farke's comments, and he had a hell of a lot, to the extent that I'm going to have to read from my notes rather than just these little headers down there that I put up from time to time, because it was very in-depth on Piroux, Bamford, and Rutter. So, generally, he was asked, why aren't we playing Joel Piroux as a number 9? And he went into a very detailed answer in exchange for basically the press not asking that question again for a long time. His first point was that he's a big believer in players playing in their starting position, but then he noted that he had 5 players or so that like playing there: Joe Gelhardt, Matteo Joseph, Patrick Bamford, Joel Piroux, Jorginho Rutter. And he also said that you can only really have one play there. If you even play a 4-4-2, you've also got a player that's dropping in a little bit more as a 10. Now, in addition to that, you also want to get 2 or 3 of those players on the pitch at the same time. You want goals coming from positions that aren't just number 9, because that's not how you win the Championship, that's how you win a Golden Boot. And he goes into that in a hell of a lot of detail anyway in a few minutes. Now, that's explained why he likes having Piroux and Rutter on the pitch and potentially Bamford at the same time, but that's a really hard one to fit in. But why does he have them that way around? And he goes into that in a little bit more detail as well. He says your best position differs a little bit between clubs. So the way that Swansea played, he was working pretty well as a number 9, and he played as a 10 there a bit of the time anyway. That was completely fine. So Swansea played sort of sitting back, whereas we press a lot more, and Jorginho Rutter is better in the press. He's better at stressing and stretching the defence a little bit. That's why he has them that way around. In addition to that, Rutter can run in behind, whereas Piroux is better at arriving late into the box and finishing chances. I think he did that at one point against Watford off the top of my head. I can't quite remember, but yeah. That's basically explained why he has them in that order. And he also noted that he had 5 seasons in a row where one of his players got the Golden Boot. This was in the earlier years of his career. And it stretched out to getting Teemu Pukki the Golden Boot twice and teaching Marcus Thuram to be a centre forward and him getting double-digit goals. Personally, I don't want to question Farke playing Rutter as a number 9 and Piroux as a 10 anymore, because I think this has definitely covered it. He's explained that they're different players, they do different jobs, and a 10 in this system is functionally a number 9 anyway, because Piroux has scored 4 goals in 7 games. Now, onto the bulk of the news from the press conference rather than just him explaining his existing thoughts. And you've got to start with Jamie Shackleton being out. He will likely be out until after the international break. He's got a little bit of, I think it was a shoulder or elbow issue. It's somewhere in his arm. And it's still a little bit too painful to play this weekend, which isn't ideal because there is also likely to be a late call on Sam Byram. Jamie Shackleton was one of our few options at left back, along with Sam Byram and Junior Firpo, but Junior Firpo is always injured. Sam Byram ideally is able to play, otherwise we're going to have Pascal Struijk or Leo Hjelde play at left back, and Struijk has been really good at centre back so far this season. Ideally, we keep Struijk where he is because he's gotten a little bit of consistency going already. The more he can do that, the better. He also said he's not too concerned on Joe Rodon, even though he had a bit of a clash in yesterday's match. I think it was his shoulder that was hurt. I wasn't sure if it was his head or not. And also Sam Byram. So I think Byram is likely going to play at that left-back position, but we can't be 100% sure yet. In addition to that, Jayden Anthony seems 50-50. Apparently he took a little bit of a knock against QPR. I imagine if he's going to play, we don't want to risk any worsening injuries in spite of the fact that we've got the international break afterwards. You might as well rest him or at least put him on the bench. We've got Dan James who can come on in his place. I've heard people suggest playing Rutter on the right, Piroux in behind and Bamford up top. That could also work, but it feels like a little bit of a risk to do against a team like Bristol City. I'll get into that in a little bit just to sort of discuss how they play, how that affects the way that we'll play. Finally, Helder Costa agrees a mutual termination. This one we all saw coming. He wasn't on the squad list. He wasn't going to make the squad list. It was going to get done. He's going to go somewhere. He's going to do well. Farke seemingly wished him the best. But yeah, that chapter in Helder Costa's career is done. He said a couple more things as well in his press conference, but they weren't worth delving into in too much depth because they don't make too much of a difference. He said that it was up to his side to get the Elland Road crowd up and running and cheering, and once they're able to do that, the crowd basically carries them forwards. That happens with basically all home sides, but it's especially true at Leeds United because we all know that Elland Road can be an absolute cauldron of noise. And also, he's not been thinking about the current low knees at the moment. This includes seemingly forgetting who Sonny Perkins was for a little bit. But he says he's too focused on what his squad is at the moment and getting them to perform, which is completely understandable. I absolutely get it. Now, we've got to discuss the way that Bristol City will play and how that affects us. So a quick Bristol City tactical preview. And the first thing that I've noted when I've watched some of their highlights and the issues that they've dealt with is that they're really bad at holding onto the ball, which absolutely suits us. We've played very transitional in attack recently. We've been good at winning the ball and converting that into good chances and putting those away. That's how we beat QPR. They had a poor pass from a potential throw-in. They're the ones that wanted to keep it going, so sod it. Yeah, they're the ones that lost the ball. We immediately won it back and converted that into a chance that Crescencio Somerville was able to put away. That is fantastic news for us. We should be able to turn that into performances. They are also a fairly weak side against through balls. That is fantastic for us because we are very good at doing through balls. We got QPR's goalkeeper sent off from basically a long lofted through ball over the top to Patrick Bamford. Another ball to Bamford provided an excellent shot opportunity, and Rutter is fantastic at having a brilliant eye for a pass and setting people up. The more he's able to get those through balls working, the better chance we have of scoring plenty of goals, and the fact that they're weak against it is brilliant for us. They also very much like to use width and put in crosses. Previous seasons, I'd say that's an issue because we haven't been too good at dealing with aerial duels, but given that we, in theory, have Rodon and Strauch at the back, who have been really good at dealing with set pieces recently, I don't think that'll be a huge issue. Also, to play wide, you sort of need to commit a lot of men forwards. That's likely going to leave some gaps at the back for us to delve into. However, it also said that they have no significant strengths, which is very funny. This is on whoscored.com, so it's slightly different to the watching that I've done myself, and means that in theory, it should be a fine match, but they're a side that, again, don't mind sitting back and letting other teams come at them and hitting on the counter-attack. That's something that we'll have to keep an eye out for, not overcommit, maybe keep Ampadu back with Strauch and Rodon just in case. But it's another one of those matches where it's quite easy to make a prediction. If we are able to get a very, very early goal in, like against QPR, we can keep heaping the pressure on, we can stop them playing the game that they want to play, and ultimately secure a result. If we're not able to get that early goal and they're able to sit back and we have to throw resources at it, we could have problems dealing with the counter-attack, but we will see. I think personally that we will play a very similar side to we did on Wednesday against QPR. I think Jadon Anthony drops to the bench, maybe Dan James coming in instead. Not too many changes aside from that. Slightly itchy face. I can't see Bamford starting quite yet, just because it's very weird to throw him in at the deep end, especially surrounded with Piru and Rutter. You want to sort of test what those three on the pitch works like at the same time in more of a sort of substitute scenario rather than from the very beginning, because you open yourself up to, if it doesn't work, having to make lots of changes very early, and that could disrupt the side. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like the video if you have enjoyed. It is hugely appreciated. I have loved all the support recently. We've finally broken 1,000 subscribers, but if you've not yet, please click that button. And I will see you later.